Oh, darling, he is so fabulous. A little too on the nose, but well, it was catchy.
Fighting a dragon with a shoe would be something that would be interesting for a fair folk to have done.
Yeah, it
I'm sure
would
an
be a
Exalted has
very
already done
interesting.
it.
True, true. But either way, hello everyone, and welcome back to the stream. I am Razim, and this is Ebon Sails Exalted, Season 1, Episode 20, Journey to the Next Island. We are going to go ahead and start off with our introductions, beginning with Kerr. I said Kerr,
Greetings and
Domino.
beyond. Yes, I know, darling. I can understand you. He can make his introductions. By the way, hello, everyone. I am Domino. I am the resident fairfolk and, well, the most fabulous thing in this stream, let's be honest. Hello, everyone. I am Kerr. I am the DM. It's nice to see you all. Don't mind Domino. He's sulking in his corner right now. I run the games, I bring happy fun times, and I watch my players ruthlessly destroy my plots and break my games and make me sad. But that's just kind of par for the course for Exalted.
For the record, everyone, I apologize for Domino's presence. Arzadeu, our newest player, made the mistake of saying the word and summoning him.
I mean, I think it's perfect.
Oh, I know, darling, aren't I? My presence simply makes the stream 20% more perfect.
I love how Arzadeu is being quiet in his corner, probably too scared to talk. But anyways, Toshime.
Yes, I am Toshime, and I'm playing Guaco Pelps, Bastion of the Waves. And despite what most people will say of me not being a dragon-blooded, I'm trying.
Darling, you know, you could always make a contract with me. I'm sure I could make something happen for you.
Turn him into a furry.
Nevis has already tried that.
Yes, Nevis has already tried that. Speaking of Nevis, I am Zim, or Razim as the case may be, and I am playing Nevis, King of Conquerors, the Marten Beast Folk Lunar Exalted. Sark?
Oh, hi. I'm Kuruma. I fly spaceships, most of which meet their untimely rapid deconstruction. I'm playing Sark. The what was it? The Beast Folk Infernal? Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry, my brain is like
Explosion.
A generous bestowal.
Tokeme tipped $10.
Toshime, thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate it. We are already on to tier 2 of our donation goal tonight.
Thank you,
Tier 2
everyone.
of 5.
Wait, there's a tier system? Oh,
Yep.
So you can make smaller donations and still have impact on the game. But next up, we have our newest member and player in the party, Arzi.
Hi, I am Arzadeu. I just got back and I will be playing Zool. Talk about timing.
Our baby.
Zool is a dragon king. I believe you went with what exaltation? Dragonblood?
Yes.
Wind aspect Dragonblood.
Okay. You'll want to include that info in your introduction in the future, by the way.
I mean, I would have known about it if I was here for the rest of the introductions, but I literally just sat down.
Zool is baby.
Hi.
And
I'm
there is
sorry.
one
I'm
more.
sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I simply must say, Zool, I cannot hurt you, no matter what. Zool is
Oh.
baby.
Oh. Well, then would you mind just let me do my research in peace, and you all can have your battles elsewhere?
Baby. Baby must be protected.
I didn't realize I was this precious.
Oh, hey, my food's.
This is mine now. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Squee.
Zim.
So, anyways, apparently I have been replaced.
No. No, I'm simply
My
saying we're
boyfriend
keeping
has
him.
replaced me.
No, we're just
Oh,
keeping
so
them.
he's gonna be our pet now.
Oh no. No. No.
This works for me.
Baby. Baby. I will protect baby. And I'm the DM. I will protect baby. And do horrible things to them.
Anyways, we have one player that is currently not here, played by Jaffer. It is the crow or raven beast folk known as Murder. They are a lunar exalted. And for everyone wondering, this is Exalted Essence. That is a tabletop system that involving overpowered characters taking on overpowered threats.
There's better ways to explain it.
Like
You're not
imagine,
wrong.
Imagine this as a level 20 plus campaign.
Further
Beyond
than
that.
that.
Beyond that.
Trashman, yes, this is like D&D. However, it is basically beyond a level 20 D&D campaign. This is... We take on gods. We take on... At character creation, we take on gods. And worse.
There's a story of a solar exalted who took on one of the primordials, the makers of basically everything, after being exalted for only 4 years, and they soloed them by themselves. Yeah, no. When an exalted gets when an exalted gets involved and starts doing things, you don't just change the course of history, you change the course of geography as well.
So I can make this mountain go bye-bye and say hello to New City?
Yes,
Awesome, there will be a bunch of books in it.
we can do that. You could also theoretically make all the people into books.
Why do I want to turn them into books?
I mean, they might know secrets. You can always turn them back afterwards.
So you could read their stories.
Okay, ethics. Fine.
Ethics
there's
are
just-
loose when it comes to Exalted.
Define ethics.
Okay,
Thank you all
fine,
so
as long
much.
as you... Sorry, go.
Thank you all so much for coming. Let's go ahead and get the recap going. And since RZ did actually listen in to the previous session, let's see what he remembers. Go.
So, here's what I remember. Icewind was thankful. And then her cousin showed up. He's an asshole. He doesn't like... If I remember correctly, he's saying that exalted people are tools and toys to be used and such. He doesn't care for them. He thinks of them as lesser. Most of them held their tongue, for the most part, until the end when things got personal. For the most part, they held their tongue. There was other conversations that happened that I cannot remember, but someone got turned into a donkey.
Yeah,
That's
that
all
was
I remember.
him. That was Delid.
I thought he was a sheep.
No.
No, he became a jackass.
Oh. For some reason, I thought he was a sheep. I'll have to edit the little blurb.
That's all I remember.
Man, that's pretty much everything. That's pretty much everything.
And
Well,
then we
we'll-
sent him to the east.
Yes.
Yeah. We sent him back to the Empire. But yeah, Kerr, fill in the blanks there, and we can get started.
Yeah, let's do.
There's not really that many blanks here to fill. RC covered pretty much everything. Pretty much you guys were able to negotiate peace. All of the armies are pulling back and leaving the island. You've successfully broken the siege without really needing much. You did good jobs there.
And it's all thanks to Sark.
And you guys now basically are cleaning up the damage to the city. And they attempted. It didn't work out well for them. And now, basically, right now, we are in the stage of... It's been a couple of days since Delid mysteriously disappeared. No one gives a fucking shit. But right now, Icewind has mostly been organizing and setting up basically restoration for the city. She's been working to get everything organized, making sure food goes where it's supposed to go, setting up places that should be repaired first, which place should be repaired second, what needs to be done to make sure everything is taken care of as quickly as possible to get the city back and up and operational for traders to start coming back again. And so people can start basically going back to their normal lives as much as they possibly can. She's been quite busy with this over these last couple of days, but anytime any of you show up, she has standing orders with her guards as well that you guys are to be allowed to her presence basically whenever you guys come calling.
Man, saving a town really has its perks.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the Dragonblood doesn't want to fucking murder you. Like, all of you know that she knows you guys are anathema, except for Guaco. Guaco has done a very good job of making sure she doesn't find that out.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows that Nevis, Sark, Murder, you guys are all anathema. And pretty much you guys have basically single-handedly saved her city. That she has seen you, she has met you, she has spoken to you guys, that she is basically... She's not necessarily okay with it, but she knows there's more to the story than what the sacred texts and such say. Yes, you guys have power. Yes, you guys might do bad things, but she is not naive enough to think that the Dragonbloods don't do bad things too. It seems to be a case-by-case thing, as she could just single-handedly point to her, to Delid, as an example of a asshole Dragonblood. But you're all reasonably confident if you ask for help, she would help you. And she would not sick the wild hunt on you guys, which is always a plus from a Dragonblood.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes. What would you guys be doing now? The threat is over at the moment. You guys have a chance to rest, resupply, to basically just kind of catch up with yourselves at the moment.
I would, Sark would be working with, I think, Swiftpaw to further their
Research?
yes,
Okay.
or their construction, whichever thing it's at.
Oh, I can't wait for Soul. Don't worry about it. Okay. Yep. You are currently working on your project there. Sounds good. Guaco, what are you up to?
I really have been replaced.
No, you have not. That's just something that when we were working on Zul's character, I knew this was going to come up, and I'm very intrigued on what's going to happen.
I'm an interesting specimen, okay? Okay, Sim?
By the way,
tying
for
loose-
the record, food prices and gas prices are nowhere near as expensive as you were saying, Toshime, in Alaska. I
Have they gone
heard
down?
back. I just heard back from my friend that lives up there, and gas is around $4.50 a gallon, which I don't know how it is here, but it doesn't sound that much more expensive, especially for the pay raise. And it's less than $4 for a gallon of milk.
My information was from the Inuit areas.
Hmm. What are
I
you
just,
up to, Toshime? You're
I
good.
just heard about that, or heard back, and was like, well, it's not as bad as you think.
And I'd be working on what sort of thing we need to tell for when we eventually get questioned about Delid showing up. And making sure the port's all in order for, in case any other nobleman shows up.
Don't worry about it.
And I'm sure Nevis would welcome and even honor a wild hunt against him.
What wild hunt?
Exactly.
Nevis was actually planning to go down into that temple again to check on the status of the Dragon Kings.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
So
back. I had to
Dragon King's in Bossing say.
Well, they're going to be
Okay.
joining his army, so he wants to go check on the status of them before, we head out. He does have his
Does he-
soldiers helping with repairs and such, as
Mhm.
well as helping to fortify defenses and walls and whatnot.
Is it possible if Sark would have recruited at least maybe another one of the wolves to his service?
No, they
No,
would not
they-
have joined.
All right, I guess Swift Paw will just have to do that.
As you head down to the temple, you can see the lead Dragon King is currently working, and he looks up. Ah, Nevis. Hello. What are you doing here?
Well, we are planning to head out in the near future here. There are other places to go save people and make sure that they are safe, as well as those mercenaries still need to be dealt with. But I wanted to check on the status of the awakening that you are doing.
It's still going slowly. We have to be careful. And the systems do not have as much power as we once did. It's more going case by case right now to make sure that we do not lose power to any one section while we're going through the awakening. However, we do have one of our best and brightest up, along with some of his research team. And I believe that he may be interested in meeting you, Nevis, and he could be an asset to you.
Oh, is that so?
Indeed. Nevis, by the way, do you speak Old Realm?
I have no idea. I
Do
never
you
picked
have...
languages.
This is fair. Did you... Did you put... How many points in sagacity do you have?
4.
Okay, yes, you do speak Old Realm.
Okay.
This is good because otherwise you would not be able to understand.
Ah.
He will beckon you to follow and lead you onwards. He is going to lead you down to a very nice looking resting chamber, and you can see a group of humans are actually in here, as well as what looks to be one Dragon King.
Interesting
And
that you have humans down here.
we have worked with humans before.
Are they from the
And
city above?
no, they were Zul's personal research team that worked with him on his projects. They came with him during the usurpation.
Ah.
You do see... Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
You see him step forward into the room. Zul, you've just awoken from stasis sleep. You and your team of researchers. Your body is recovering. You know exactly what this is like. You've gone through this before. Not for this long, but for long trips and such. Sometimes people would pay to do this. It saves time, at least for you. But your body is a little bit weaker right now. You're basically catching up at the moment.
I
And
imagine.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I imagine Zula's just sitting there, flexing one claw at a time, making sure each moves properly.
Your whole research team is here with you. The last thing that basically you know is the usurpation happened. At least that's what people started calling it. The Dragonbloods and the Sidereal Exalted betrayed the Solars and the Lunars during the Great Feast of Calibration. Basically a massive feast at the very end of the year that goes for an entire week. And during this feast, when all of the Exalted were gathered, the Dragonbloods, leading armies of hundreds of thousands of mortal soldiers, basically all came down on these 300 Solars and the 300 Lunars who were gathered and started trying to slaughter them. Even without their artifacts, without their weapons, without their armor, without their magical tools and items, the Solars and the Lunars fought back. And they decimated the armies. They slaughtered them. Even though for every 20 to 30,000 soldiers that died, one of them would probably be taken out by just sheer force of numbers. And from the tens of thousands of Dragonbloods and the basically a full 25 or 30 Sidereals going in after them too.
Oh, the Sidereals and the Dragonbloods went after the Solars and Lunars?
Yes. It was a massive betrayal, as far as you know. However, you also know that the Solars had begun to grow more and more unstable in the years leading up to the usurpation, and they had started sidelining your people more and more and more. Basically, you guys had become, rather than when you guys were once kings and rulers of creation, now you guys were basically just given busy work and just told, go sit in the corner and don't bother anyone. That's one of the... Yeah. It's one of the reasons you and your group survived, though, the original usurpation attack, because you guys weren't necessarily involved with it. You heard about it, though. It spread across the entire. It basically spread up across creation in literally a day. And when this happened, the failsafe went into effect. You and your team were selected to be one of the Dragon Kings to carry the light into the future, to be one of the people who could train and help those Dragon Kings that came after you to rediscover sentience, to be trained and to rediscover their memories and who they are. And since then, you have been in stasis. Basically to recover when everything basically calmed down and things became safe for you to do so. And it seems now is that time. As far as you know, it's been over 1,000 years since the usurpation has happened.
Alright.
And this Dragon King, you haven't met this Dragon King before. At least not formally. He approaches you, and Nevis, you hear him start speaking in a different language than the one he just used with you. This one is a very formal, a very beautiful language. Zul, you recognize the language. This is the language you've always spoken. Old Realm. And the Dragon King walks over to you. He is of your breed, and he bows to you. Are you feeling okay, Zul?
He responds in a small, a quieter tone. I was like, yes, I'm feeling fine. Just making sure everything works.
Understandable. Though we've made sure that the system's operational, it is never a sure thing with a... We've never had to go this long before. He waves a hand and waves for you to approach, Nevis.
Nevis will do so. Using the same language, the Old Realm language. So, this is Zul!
Zul slightly shudders at the sudden shock of, like, loudness, like, I was not expecting such excitement from a rise.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to make a new acquaintance. Potentially a friend and ally.
Oh. Well, I am Zul, and you are?
I am Nevis, King of Conquerors.
Zul nods, like, alright. Note to self, he is very excitable and loud.
Nevis only speaks in all caps. So,
Well,
may I inquire as to what abilities that you might bring to this group of ours?
Well, I believe that we are good with knowledge and researching. I may not be the best fighter. I particularly don't like it. But I always love seeking new series, new information. They say curiosity killed the cat, but doesn't kill a Dragon King. He smiles, a toothy grin.
Nevis is just gonna look over at the attendant before back at Zul.
Zul is a master sorcerer. He is the only Dragon King who has ever successfully reached the second circle of sorcery.
Ah, now that can definitely be useful. Research is all well and good, but it would not serve in an adventuring life that well. And alas, amongst my party, everyone would need to serve a purpose beyond just study. Yes,
Adventuring.
Chrysops, we do have a nerd.
So real quick, Zool, one of the abilities your sagacity gives you is you can introduce facts. You can basically go, this is how this thing works because I say this is how it works.
Ah. Okay.
As long as I do not basically say it can't work that way, you can basically go, it works this way because I say it works this way, and then I have to go, okay, it works that way now.
Noted.
I say that Nevis rules all of creation.
No. Nice try, but no.
Clearly, Nevis, King of Conquerors, has conquered all of creation and now has unified it.
Nope.
By conquering it, you have unified it all against you.
I mean, he wouldn't necessarily. I mean, it would still achieve his goals, so.
Well, it is true. I did reach the second circle of sorcery. But if it is help that is required to help learn and train others, I shall be of assistance.
Well then, welcome aboard. We shall be departing in probably a few days. And he'll switch back to the more common tongue, also cur static.
Sorry. I'm trying to fix it.
He'll switch back to the common tongue and talk to Craberius. Craberius, would you possibly be able to leave one of your crabs here in order to relay when the rest of the Dragon Kings are awakened?
I've already put in the order, sir.
Excellent.
Do I understand their tongue they're speaking in?
This sounds like an utterly bastardized version of like Old Realm and like several dialects of just like you've never heard before. Like you can make out like one in every like 15th word, and it's like, what have they done to the language?
Precise is like, ugh, disgusting. No, it's not formal. No.
Nevis will turn back to Zool, raising a brow. And moving back to Old Realm. Is there something I have done to offend you?
The language, it just
Cur,
feels
the static
wrong.
is worse.
God damn it. Hang on. Alright. Go ahead.
It feels all wrong, feels so brutish, not pretty sounding. It's like if you were to write ink on paper, it doesn't flow well, it's all rough and jagged. It just feels wrong.
Well, it is the language that is spoken nowadays, so you will need to learn it at some point. By
We
the
do have
way-
translators on the ship. This is Craberius speaking. Zool, you see a little crab speaking.
Currently riding on one of Nevis's shoulders.
Also, question: how tall am I?
Like 6 or 7 feet tall. Dragon Kings are big.
Okay. Like,
Up to
oh,
you, specific.
and we'll go 7. Why not?
No, but someone's actually as tall as you.
I think Sark is taller than Nevis.
I know, I was just making the joke.
Zool looks at the crab. Just gives a small wave to it.
I'm a big
You-
wolf.
He waves a claw back.
Nevis also has a Marten that is wrapped around his neck.
Wait, it's alive, right? I just want to make this clear before.
Yes,
Yes.
it's just familiar.
Would I
Also,
automatically-
this is Martokio, my familiar, and the crab here is Crabirius, the god of crabs.
Hey, can you give me a sagacity roll, please?
Who?
Which one?
You, Zool. So you're going to be rolling d10s.
Who is Zool?
Your Zool.
You didn't pronounce the name right.
No, he
It
pronounced
is
the name right.
Zool!
You can turn down the volume, sir.
Zool!
Quieter.
Zool!
Hmm. How did I survive rolling?
Okay,
you're gonna
so to
roll
roll
your
dice.
sagacity.
First off, look at your sheet, and you're going to pick your primary attribute that you're going to use with it. Exalted Essence is specifically built for you to roll your highest attribute, whatever it may be. And then, so you got however many dots you've got there. Then you add on the dots that you have in Sagacity. Then in Fantasy Grounds, you'll see the die down in the bottom left with the 10 on it. You'll right click on it, get the highest number just to save yourself some clicks. And from there, you just drop it into the chat box. If you don't have say you have 7, you can click the 5 and then right click twice to get 7 dice. Wow, those are some damn good rolls. Can I save those?
No.
You don't have the charm for that.
So, is it just a sagacity roll or something along with an attribute?
It's one of the attributes, whichever is your highest,
All right.
Plus sagacity.
plus
Together.
sagacity.
Yep. All rolls will always be something plus something.
All right.
You're used to that.
All right. 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be 9.
All right. So you rolled 2 10s, so you're gonna roll 2 more d10s.
Tens explode and count as 2 successes.
And you get to
Wait
roll
a
them
sec.
again.
All right, 2 d10s and rolling them again.
Yes. And
Unless I say otherwise, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s are a success. 10s count as 2 successes, and 1s take away a success.
so right there,
So-
you've got 6 successes.
6 successes.
So now you would write into the chat, say, like if it were Nevis doing this, it would be like so. Though generally you only need to write it out like that if he's asking for all of us to roll.
That
And
way
you
I know
can
who's
show
is
it.
whose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of everybody calling it out. But where it's just you can just call it out.
So
Yeah.
let's see. So that was 6 successes, you said.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You rolled very, very well.
Oh.
Let me give you a context real quick. A normal mortal savant, like a mortal who is like an expert who has done this for like 50 years, and like like the old court mages and stuff, they might have 5 or 6 dice at most.
Just to explain for chat and others, the exploding dice is actually a homebrew rule that Kerr runs. It is not actually part of Exalted, but it is a homebrew one, and it's a fun one. Rolling more dice always feels good. Even if you get a 1 on this follow-up dice, it still feels good to roll more dice.
I use Black Silver Fox to explain. My storyteller who started me off over a decade ago when I was playing Exalted, he played a lot of World of Darkness, and he took the dice exploding from that, he said. And so every time I've played Exalted, was always with the exploding rule, to the point where I just always thought it was a normal rule of Exalted.
It's
So
kind of
it's
like the free parking space rule that a lot of kids grow up learning in Monopoly, and then when they finally actually look at the rules and they're like, "Wait, where's my free parking space?"
So it always leads to like really fun moments. It can lead to the characters doing really cool stuff. So I've ever since he did that rule with me, and he did it with all of his games, I've always incorporated into my games because it's like my players get to have cool things happen.
For the
So
record,
my
sorry, go ahead.
I like my players having fun. I like my players doing cool things. I mean, this is Exalted. Like, you guys are meant to be freaking fantastic.
And that is how diplomats get beheaded at peace talks.
For the record, everyone, if you go up to the dice icon in the upper right, you can change your color, as well as you can actually turn off dice that we don't need.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a new feature they've added, apparently. If you do want to buy some of their specialty dice skins, please use my affiliate link.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we're doing Exalted Essence. I tried starting them with 3rd edition, and it was a little bit too much for all the new players. Everyone was new except for Toshime. And yeah, it can be hard. Essence is a good on-ramp for new players, and it's been going pretty well, I would say, so far, from the feedback I've gotten. I mean, you're Exalted. Punching someone through a wall is pretty easy to do.
It's simple. You just go punch.
About to say, so is burning down food storages. It's pretty easy too.
Why would you burn down a food store?
You'd be surprised how effective it is.
Is
Okay.
that wrong? But yes. Let's hop back to the game.
The results of my roll for the game.
Yes. Yes. Zool, you recognize Krabiris.
Oh.
You just don't recognize him in this form. Krabiris is not a god of crabs. He is the god of crabs.
I will say that Nevis did point that out.
Yes.
He did say the.
Yes, I know. But also, he is in your time period, Zool. He was basically one of the greatest gods in the West, where you guys currently are. Basically, in the West, it is an entire. There was an entire other continent that people lived on, as well as a whole set of islands and other areas on the sea. It was just basically a big sea with lots of islands and then one really, really big continent. And Krabiris was worshipped far and wide in the West, and he was basically considered a god of protection, a god of defense, of endurance, and of course the god of crabs.
Would
He
you
was
say he's a bit crabby?
he was a very, very large presence in the West, and pretty much everyone made offerings and sacrifices to him. He was known to take many forms, some of which were a large warrior in chitinous armor, as well as a massive crab the size of a ship, and also a human-sized crab as well, if he was walking among his worshippers.
Alrighty. Line them out for notes.
This Krabiris looks like a normal crab, for the most part.
For the most part, funny. Zoo will respond with, Craberius? You look different now. Did the time fly that much you took on small form?
Hello, Zool. It has been... Oh. It's been over 1,000 years. Quite a lot has changed since you went to sleep. It is delightful to see you again, though.
Same here.
I will see to it that you will be brought up to date with things. I think I have a few history books in Old Realm that may help you out. Also, the ship is operational. Zool, you do remember helping out with a very large battleship that was being built back in the First Age before the usurpation happened. Basically, like the first of its kind.
The ship survived? Really?
Indeed, it is currently active and, well, he waves a claw to Nevis. We are currently in possession of it, and we're using it as our mobile base of operations.
Zul looks to Nevis. Clearly, Zul is
Yes.
extremely happy with this right now.
Yes, we are currently using the ship. I believe that is what you are referring to.
Yes.
Quite the delay on the answer there.
I was muted, and I didn't realize I was muted.
You've really got to stop that.
I thought I hit the button, and I didn't.
Push the button.
I was trying to make sure that I was trying to deal with the static problem. I thought muting and unmuting might help.
Oh, fair enough.
What happened to the game?
Oh,
It's
I
still there.
closed.
Sim's
Yeah.
just showing the
Oh,
wrong
okay.
screen.
And what?
The anniversary icon instead of the rollings.
Oh, I
Screen on
closed
Fantasy
down
Grounds.
Fantasy Grounds for a moment. So. I'll get it back up shortly.
Yes. Yes, I am very happy the ship is finally being used.
It has been a very
Yeah.
reliable vessel for us. And finely made, I might say.
Well, now I'm even more excited to help out. Old friend, old project now ready.
Ramirez is gonna look at Nevis. Shall we show Zool to the ship?
I would say so, or perhaps try and find the others as well.
Bako, where are you at?
I'm at the port trying to get everything sorted out.
Okay. Sark is currently at the ship at the moment. Him and Swiftpaw are working on a project. And Guaco is on the docks. He is currently helping out getting everything organized.
Well then, I suppose we'll have to go and, take a look at it.
Alright. Zool,
Yes.
as you follow Nevis out, as you guys make your way out, you step out into this city. It looks like it's seen better days. You can see the clear effects of war has damaged it. But also, this place wouldn't even kind of construe to a village in the first age. Like this is like a sort of like backwater town that no one really cares about or goes to in your eyes.
Small backwater town. A lot has changed. Zool says,
Nevis, you know that this is one of the premier trading cities in the West.
oh dear.
This is, in fact, one of the premier trading cities in the West. While I do understand things have changed a lot, not for the better, I do aim to fix this.
Premier in your eyes. Oh. Well, seems like a decent ideal goal.
Yeah, Zool, with just your knowledge, like as you guys are making your way down to the docks, like the streets and such are completely set up wrong to make it more efficient. Like you're going to have lots of standing water. You're going to have a lot of pothole issues. You're going to be replacing things constantly because of the wear and tear of the water and the humidity here. You can see the materials that are being used to build these places probably won't last more than like 50 years to a century at most before it's all going to need to be torn down or replaced. Like you're seeing things that for you built cities that would last centuries, if not more, if they hadn't been like devastated or destroyed by the usurpation. You could build literally flying cities is what you could build. And you can just like take one look at all of this and it's like you know how to you know ways that you could fix it if you wanted to.
Materials? Is this what they use nowadays? If this is one of the
Yeah.
more prime trading hubs, I would expect more pristine building blocks.
I am not a builder, so I would not be able to say on that front. However, this is rather typical for this day and age.
Zul gives a slightly disgusted look of, how things have degraded.
Yeah, as you're walking, Zool, you can kind of like, as you're like walking by a building, you can kind of like run your claws across things. As you kind of pause for a moment for some carts to go by, you can reach down and touch the ground. You can see that the buildings are made out of a combination of wood and stone, and the ground is basically carved stone as well. Basically like brick. It's brick roads. And none of it has been treated alchemically. None of it has been taken care of or enchanted to last. None of it has gone through the basic charms to ensure that it could basically stand up to, like, if someone took a sledgehammer to the wall in your day and age, it would be treated that it could basically resist it and probably break the sledgehammer. None of that stuff is here. This is literally like someone just took a block of stone, carved it, and then used some very weak looking cement to stick it together. And then like wooden walls and wooden ceilings. Like even the windows don't have glass in them.
Zul sees all this, he's not too happy with it. He's just more and more like saying, no, that's all wrong. That's all wrong. You can break this with a hammer. No, why?
Like, this is what you would expect to see in a backwater village that doesn't have any Exalted in it to take care of it, or it's just like so poor that no one really cares about it.
This is the
And he's
kind of
also-
world that the Dragonbloods have allowed to come.
Zul also probably be getting looks from the villagers.
Oh yeah, everyone is looking at you like you're a dumb wild animal, Zool, and everyone is kind of keeping away from you, but no one's like out and out panicked because Nevis, you're there. No one seems to know what the fuck you are, Zool.
I don't know if there is Zul would respond to the distance or... He might question the looks, but the distance they're giving him might be natural?
No, you're used to people just looking at you like you're just like another person. This is like they're staring at you like you're going to eat them.
Nevis? What's up with society today? I'm getting odd looks.
Nevis, Dragon Kings are basically considered to be wild animals for the most part, and they eat and cause massive destruction when they show up.
Nowadays, your people are seen as little more than wild animals. Most of you are, in fact, wild animals that often just show up, eat a few people, and then wander back off again.
Juveniles.
They hadn't had anyone to train them, have they?
No, they have not. Not for a very long time.
Hmm. That needs to be fixed.
Actually, if the people recognize him, wouldn't that mean that there's at least a few Dragonbloods on the island then? Or Kings?
The Dragon Kings of the West are aquatic.
Ah, fair
They can
enough.
they survive in the water, and then they will attack ships and raid them and eat people and whatever food is on them, and then go back. Sometimes they'll go into ports, but it's not as common, not unless they're like really hungry. The smaller villagers are more likely to see them, but in today's day and age, there are stories where sometimes like one of them will show up at a city like this. Usually the guards and the Dragonbloods would be able to take care of them pretty easily, though.
Okay. Yes, they typically just show up, cause problems, and then leave again. Though they don't typically attack a port like this, they are often out in the ocean still and will attack ships.
Hmm. How far have we fallen?
Jug.
It doesn't take too long now before you guys do reach the docks, and you can see Guaco working and directing everybody.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Scarlet Empress gone for so long.
5 years.
We
Housing
may
issues.
need to start setting back up the merchant fleet for Pelps.
The problem
Even
is
though
the Civil War.
The Empress was the one that stripped it from Pelps in the first place to keep them from getting so much power.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, the Empress was actually very good at running creation. Like, shockingly good at doing it. Also, I just want to state for the record, RZ, are you doing anything during basically 4 hours before this game starts?
Are you doing anything on Fridays, just in general?
Yes.
At the moment, no.
Are you
Maybe.
Are you interested in werewolves, possibly?
I mean, werewolves are cool. Am I being recruited for a third? Oh,
Yes.
They are a baby. I may or may not be recruiting them.
oh my god. So first it was Zim calling me baby and pet. Now it's Kerr.
Hey, I never called you
Oh.
baby.
That was someone else who did. Zim, I'm recruiting them to the werewolf game.
I have not fully agreed yet.
Alright,
Yeah.
get me details for the art so I can get Mary on it.
If you would like to join, I don't want to force you into it.
Part of me wants to say no right now and such. Especially when work comes around and I actually finally get a job.
That is
This
a
is
good
fair.
point.
Jug.
So, anyways,
Yeah, Go ahead. Yes, you can see Toshime direct. Wow. You can see Guaco directing people basically helping getting everything organized and taken care of on the docks.
Nevis will approach Guaco. Hello there, Guaco. I have acquired a new member for our little band. This is Zool!
Zul kind of just jumps again at the loud name. Sure, he doesn't understand it because I'm assuming he's speaking in standard tongue. Or Zul would call it brutish tongue.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, ugh, don't need to be so loud.
He does not speak the common tongue, however, I would be happy to translate if you wish. And in Old Realm, Zool! This
Hey,
is Guaco.
Zul waves says, "Hi, Guaco. I would request a translator or a linguist to learn the language at some point."
RD can get you a translator.
I need to step away again for just a moment. Sorry, preparing some food real quick. But Nevis will play translator between Guaco and Zool, and maybe Sark if he shows up.
Zul, you know RD. You recognize the name. That's the name of the AI that was installed into the ship.
RD, got it.
Yes.
Oh,
What
RD.
type of Dragon King is this?
Eastern based.
Okay. Interesting. Haven't seen too many out of your kind out here. What do you bring to the party?
Uh, a tad of magic and knowledge. I actually didn't realize you guys knew Craberius. He's an old acquaintance, and we worked on a ship, and I hear it's the mobile base of operations.
He only introduced to us himself recently.
Ooh. Interesting. Also, RD, the name. You guys know RD? Wait a second. I think I said that wrong. Yes. Damn it. I retake that statement. Or question.
Mhm.
And then we also know the spirit inside. With all the mice.
Yes. That one you don't really recognize as much. That probably came in after you were done working on your stuff here.
The mice are new. Then again, everything else is new when you're asleep for a long time.
I'm guessing it wasn't you who killed all the dragon blooded inside.
No.
Yeah, they'd probably be after your time.
Feel like I'm being... Nevis said that my kind is treated as wild animals. For the most part, we are apparently. I am not happy with that.
Zool would know that the children of your kind just need to raise their essence up, and then they gain back their memories. Right
Yes.
now, it's like a whole bunch of children are running around with no parents.
Feels like an analogy he would make.
And what
I-
sort of essence powers do you have?
Wind and such. It will probably take a moment for me to get back into the flow of the magic. But I do promise I should be as valuable as anyone else on the team.
Is there a way that I can tell that they're dragon-blooded?
Not yet, no. Unless you have a charm that lets you see essence.
Nope.
No, then not right now.
Nevis
Okay.
does.
Yes, Nevis, you would be able to see the
Essence. Also, you
Mm.
were told.
yes.
He
Yes,
was
but
told that Zool is a Dragonblood.
I think so.
no,
No, he
you
was just
just
told I
said
was a
you
Dragon King.
I'm wrong.
Dragon King, but you had air.
Yes, Dragon King, Air, and such. Again, this is also on my part for not fully understanding all terms.
You're good.
Well, to be fair, they are very similar terms, so
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, is Guaco going to ask about what kind of exalted Zool is?
Yeah.
Well, go
Ah.
ahead.
What
Roleplay!
kind of exalt? What kind of exalt are you?
Oh, why that would be Dragonblood.
Guaco, your brain has stopped working.
Nevis, meanwhile, is just like, seems legit.
What?
Zul seems happy of himself. Yeah,
How are you a dragon-blooded?
I mean, I wasn't Dragon King always. I was once normal, but that's in the past, and I can't exactly remember, unfortunately.
Okay. This changes a few things.
This does not compute. What the fuck is going on?
Okay, little. Okay, little egg.
I'm sorry,
W-
little?
Would you like to be a member of Pelps?
Zul looks
The-
at Nevis, confused.
One of the major Dragon King families.
Dragonblood families.
Oh,
Dragonblood families.
Okay.
Nevis just basically shrugs.
You don't translate?
Oh, he'll translate.
He's just like, whatever you want to do.
It's like, I mean, I shouldn't join without knowing what they are and do exactly. You said Dragonblood is family.
And now time to explain what fire has wrought.
Basically, all the Dragonbloods have been divided into families, and basically the families are sort of, kind of, possibly about to go into a civil war with each other because the ruler of creation, the Empress, has up and disappeared for the last 5 years, and now no one knows where she is, if she's alive, or who's supposed to be running things because the world isn't set up to run without her right now. So now the Dragonbloods are basically about to go Game of Thrones on each other, possibly.
You make a reference that I don't understand because I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Basically, all the families are going to go into a civil war and try to murder each other to take the throne.
Fun. And so, joining this Pelps family will give me some sort of alliance that you guys are associated with?
Yes, the entire West.
No. We are not allied with Pelps. And he'll say that in both languages. There is two members of House Pelps that we are allied with, Icewind and Guaco here. However, the rest of the Dragonbloods have not... they are as yet not allies.
Oh,
Kerr, could you, like,
Guaco.
move your mic away from your laptop or something?
It is. I have it across the desk.
What is causing that static?
I don't know.
Must be some sort of ambience.
Fan or something?
Wait, Guaco, you're a part of this family?
Yes.
Ah, that explains the reason of recruitment. What benefits would it come with?
House Pelps controls the major navies of the entire West.
House Pelps is also one of many of their houses which will attempt to kill us on sight, usually.
Unless I'm there.
Ah,
A Pelps idiom is about the trade winds. If you can prove yourself to be useful, then you can go far.
Zool shrugs. I mean, do I have any reason not to, besides just not to?
You know how the realm is situated into the 4 sections and the center island, right?
You
That's
remember, Zool, you remember creation being much, much larger. 10 times as large. It was a full second continent and everything.
Ah, I see.
Here, and I'll pull out a current map. If you
Yeah,
look
this-
in Ebon Sales Exalted, I'm pasting it right now.
Yeah.
Ah.
This map is tiny. This is like 1/10 of what creation is in your time.
This is all you guys know?
Well, there was the fair folk that took back land, and the great contagion that spilled out. So we lost over 80% of the land, from what we know.
Jeez. No wonder why everything looks so tiny. My time, it used to be bigger. Clearly someone went and screwed that up. It's like waking up and you realize there's a whole bunch of messes. That was a terrible time when I went to sleep then. For the better, but the trails suck.
And I will say, if you are a part of the Scarlet Dynasty, then that'll afford some protection against what people see of you.
Well, I guess anything to help build our reputation of the Dragon Kings back up. Sure, I'd be down to join.
And that's settled. We're going to have to get paperwork signed and have Icewind send it to the center island.
Paperwork is fun.
Yes, it is. Quite.
Nevis, do you like paperwork?
Not in the slightest.
Joke.
And I may have just come upon the person who can unite the houses.
Well, is this the entire group? Just the two of you and now me?
There are two others to our party. Well, actually, there are a few others. Sark, I have not seen yet. I am not certain where he's gotten off to. Most likely in a bar somewhere. Or playing with
He's
his
in
new
the
boy
ship.
toy. Was that
If we want to go into the
Criberius?
Criberius, yes.
Ah, thank you, Criberius. Good to hear he's not in a bar. And then there is Murder, who... Well, who knows where he is either. Most likely up in the crow's nest.
What, is he a murder of crows?
Sometimes.
I meant that figuratively. Now you make me think it's literally.
It is literally. Are you not familiar with the Lunar Exalted?
Ah, that explains.
Add a character, do you need an explanation, or...?
No, Lunar, you said are shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Murder actually can shapeshift into a murder of crows.
The moment you said lunar, I'm like, oh, right, lunars.
Well, I suppose we should go introduce you to the others. There are others that follow and join us as well. However, it is primarily the five of us that engage with those we meet, whether for battle or friendship.
Friends are good. So is tea.
Well, then you shall enjoy Ferris, as he makes a very fine cup of tea. Speaking of, Kraberius, do you know where Ferris is?
He is inside the ship at the moment.
Excellent. I think it is about time we make preparation and set off after the mercenaries then.
And me just thinking to myself, could I have Zool be sent to the heptagram?
If we're setting off shortly, I should probably gather my followers and my familiar as well.
Then do go attend to that. I am going to have my soldiers gathered back up and go meet with Icewind myself. And Nevis, after consulting with Kraberius, is going to set off to find Icewind.
Okay, give me a second.
One Mississippi. Hands up.
Sark,
Yeah, what's up?
as you guys are working in the factory cathedral, make me a awareness roll, please.
Let me quickly pull it up. It'll load.
So quiet. Sometimes you just gotta sing a song.
Yeah, guys, wake up!
He's
gotta-
rolling dice. I was waiting.
Oh, he's rolling dice. Okay.
5 successes.
There, you see, there is a group of mice watching you from above.
I'm gonna look
And
at the
they're
mice and be
licking
like,
their chops.
Sark's gonna look up at the mice and say, "You want to help out?"
One of them is going to come down and it actually starts speaking. What are you doing?
We're working on a special project. Something that will help make the world a slightly less awful place.
What kind of project?
Are you familiar with constructs? Yes.
Machines, yes.
Precisely. A machine that, once completed, will help us in saving this world and defeating Mahasuchi. And securing a better future for all of us.
And the mouse kind of looks around a little bit. I'm not sure if you really want to be doing that. That doesn't seem good to do.
Well, we'll just have to see how things turn out.
But what if they go rogue or start trying to hurt people?
Then we'll have to stop them. But if things hopefully don't go south, it'll be an agent of peace, of good.
It seems a little. He kind of the little mouse trails off a little bit. There's something in the ship that you might want to keep your eyes out for. I can't say anything more than that right now.
We will be on the lookout for said thing.
It's just things could be dangerous.
Trust me. I've seen many, many things. I've seen horrible things. My only goal is to prevent those things from happening ever again.
What are you trying to prevent?
What I'm trying to prevent, I cannot say, for I do not know. However, I must try. If war and death can be prevented, then it's worth a shot. I've seen too many of my comrades die, and it's time to put a stop to that.
I guess I can understand that. Is there... He kind of trails off a little bit. Is there anything we might be able to do to help you out?
As far as I am aware, we need materials. Something that can act as, I don't want to say armor, but a very durable substance.
We can try and see what we can do.
Welcome to Jade.
I'm not sure what we can do necessarily, but we can look around and see what we can find.
Anything you could do would be of great help. Even if it is only little. For every piece brings us one step closer.
The little mouse nods. Alright, just be careful before the mice will scatter and vanish into the ship.
I'm going to look at Swiftpaw and say, so where are we at? or what exactly do we need?
Right now, I'm working on the design, making sure everything gets streamlined and set up at the moment.
Sark, I was gonna say,
the ma-
Sark pulls out the Hearthstone and says, "What about this?"
if you're making one, that would be fine. The issue isn't necessarily the materials and such. I mean, we have a full factory cathedral. We're loaded with stuff that I can use to build it. It's just a matter of making sure that everything is operational and such. Like, this is complicated work. And if I make a mistake and I feed these designs into the cathedral systems to start trying to mass produce these, if I make a mistake, we lose everything. And we have to start over from the drawing board, and we just waste all the materials. And we'll have to try to scavenge what we can before we get back to work again.
That is true. And Sark's gonna say, "Why don't you and I work on these designs together?" Considering that they were like they kind of were both in the same guild that used the exact same tech essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And
Excuse me. This voice came in from the intercom within the factory cathedral.
Sark's gonna turn around to try to figure out where that came from.
Hello. I am RD, the AI of the ship. Would you perhaps require assistance?
That would be beneficial.
I see you're trying to make a mech. Can I offer help? The first thing that came to my mind was Clippy.
Clippy.
Yeah, that did too.
I'll say, that was funny.
I would be happy to assist you in your creation. What is it that you are trying to focus on?
Building a machine that can build other machines.
I can assist you with such things.
Well, we could definitely use all the help we can get. Would be well, that. Sark's gonna say something to that effect.
Anything you can help us with would be appreciated.
That any way in which you could be of assistance would be appreciated.
I would be delighted to assist you. I have thousands of designs uploaded into me from the first stage of different machines and such.
I'm gonna look at Swiftpaw and say, "Would this be a Bennett?" I was like, "I think I got you an assistant or a helper."
First stage tech is more advanced than basically anything in modern day. Anything that this machine has would probably be light years of whatever I could try to design and put together.
I don't see why we shouldn't go ahead with it then.
He nods. I would be more than happy to assist you. It is my primary function, after all.
We would be delighted for your assistance.
Wonderful. Swiftpaw, we shall begin work immediately.
And I'm gonna hand Swiftpaw the Hearthstone and say, "This might come in handy."
He'll nod and move over to a table as a little camera kind of slides down, starts looking over the plans, and little spindly arms come out. Let us begin work. And the two will begin talking animately with each other about things that even start to go over your head a little bit, Sark.
I'm going to. I'm seeing that they're in the zone. I'm going to just look at Swiftpond and just say, "I will leave you to it," and yes, walk out of the factory cathedral.
Okay. And as you head outside of the ship, Sark, you see Nevis Guaco together with some type of lizard creature, like the same kind of creature you saw down below. But you don't recognize this one.
Sark's going to pull out his flask and take a decent sized swig and head over to Nevis and the others.
Hey, Sark.
Trying to do the
Ah, hello there, Sark. We have a new compatriot here.
Joke.
Is this the new guy you're talking about? Still don't understand the barbaric tongue.
Nevis will translate, but you know, he'll say it in the common tongue first, and then the
Zool
old
did get the
realm.
translator.
Not yet. Zula has not been given the translator yet. You guys haven't gotten on the ship.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, I just realized I never described Sark.
You have described Zool as well, actually, and I'm
Uh,
ashamed to not describe myself.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead and go into descriptions real quick. I'm going to step away for just one moment and grab some dinner. It'll be just like a minute.
So Sark is a I have no idea his actual height. Taller than Nevis. You know the Van Helsing werewolf?
No, I do not.
Okay, so a large 7 foot, 7 foot like
Oh, so
athletic
you're
build.
even on height with Nevis then.
Okay, well then, yeah, we're even. 7 foot tall, athletic built black werewolf with gray markings and a scar that comes up from his right fang up to the bridge of his snout. Wearing a cloak and armor and a leather armor.
Zool will not do that. Zool, best way to describe is like one of those, a velociraptor, as I described the base, but with more feathers. Feathers on the side of his head, a fan out on his shin, the back of his shin, his tail, and towards his elbows. He is dark blue spotted with white, and his muzzle is white with streaks coming off of it. He's wearing, on the outside is a Roman toga equivalent, but underneath to the watchful eye you can tell there's some type of leather armor.
Sark's gonna look at Zool and say, "Pleasure to meet you." And he'll just nod.
Yes, my food is cooking in the microwave real quick. And I'm back for a minute.
Yes, Sark, this is Zool! And
Can stop.
Zool! This is Sark.
You can stop with the loudness, please. I request.
Go ahead and keep role playing if you're just role playing between each other.
Does Nevis even translate the whole part of Zool requesting Nevis to quiet down?
Yes. But he translates exactly what you say. Can you please quiet down?
Sark's just gonna look at Nevis and just sort of not really roll his eyes, but just say, "Okay, yeah, that's okay, Nevis."
Joke.
In this video, I'm gonna show you what sounds by the
He'll then
disabled
say, "Well,
can make.
Zool, my name is." Wait, I have to do the voice.
You gotta do the voice acting.
In this video, I'm gonna show you what sounds
Well, Zool.
by the disabled can make.
Name's Sark. Not much about me. Also, Swiftpaw's here. You'll probably meet him. He's working on some stuff for me.
Neat.
Zool, you do know there is a full working factory cathedral within the ship. Basically, a factory cathedral is like a super mega mass production factory when it comes to magical artifacts. You could build Gundams in there.
Oh. Okay, that was a project to work on, I bet.
They take like a year or two to make usually, but they are like Gundams.
When we say you can play any anime character in this system, we mean any.
You guys went and started making Gundams.
They're called War Striders. They're Gundams.
I need
One
to drink
moment.
some water.
I went and grabbed my last sandwich.
Eat the sandwiches. Sandwiches.
As he does that, Sark is going to take out his flask, and that was stolen, by the way, from the camp, and just take a swig. As he does, he's just going to throw it back and sort of just shake a bit.
Wait, he throws the flask back?
No, like he takes the flask and just like tips it up real quick.
It's a term meaning, it's a figure of speech meaning he's taking a big swig.
Dang.
And then he'll then take the cap and then put it back into his I guess cloak. I'm sure he's got pockets somewhere. And then he'll look at Nevis and say, "Well, Nevis, is everything, we all good here? We have anything else to do, or are we going to ship out?"
I simply need to go and meet with Icewind first to let them know that we are leaving, and otherwise we will be good to set sail.
All right, perfect.
If you could do me a favor and perhaps gather up my soldiers, I would be appreciative of this.
Might as well. And Sark's gonna go do that.
I'll make sure the trade lanes are started up.
I should have someone escort me to where I was sleeping. Otherwise, I fear the townsfolk might get a bad idea.
That is a fair point. Guaco, did you want to come with me to Icewind, or would you mind escorting Zool to his followers?
I think I'll escort Zool.
Very well. We
Yay.
shall meet back up here as soon as possible then.
The three of us, the five of us go our separate ways. Sark goes and finds all of the soldiers. Guaco and Zool proceed down to the quarters, and Nevis does Nevis things.
When does
So here-
Nevis not do Nevis things?
I mean, Nevis has a tendency to always do like I think I understand. I don't know where I'm going with this.
You're
By the way,
trying to
it's not
explain
good.
things, is what
No.
you're trying to do.
Continue. I am very curious where you're going with this.
Nevis is probably going to go do main protagonist things. Good guy protagonist things. I don't know. I don't know good guy protagonist things.
He goes and builds up the social rank with allies, and so he can get more bonuses from them. Obviously.
And
See-
I'd need to explain to Zool about being a lost egg.
You didn't say his name right.
No,
I
no,
did.
no.
Zool!
No, Guaco said it just right. He said it more better than you, Nevis. Or Zim.
Also, it's not a Gundam that I'm building. Just like above game, I'm just throwing it out there. It's not a Gundam.
Could be.
To everyone else, it's a Gundam, so obviously it has to be a Gundam. Obviously. Kidding.
And Kerr, we don't hear you if you're trying to talk. But
It's on a Gundam yet.
I'd be explaining about Nexus and Look Shy.
All these places, new
Um,
places, Zool.
Actually explain about him, Toshime. Because Arzi doesn't know this stuff.
No,
And I
don't.
know the
I know
viewers
nothing.
would appreciate having that stuff explained, so actually explain it.
That they're breakoffs from the realm.
In the days of yonder past.
Which places are you explaining?
Look Shy and Nexus.
Look Shy especially. They're basically breakaways from the realm, as he said. They basically told the realm, F you, we're not following you, we're going to do our own thing still. The realm took offense to this. The realm tried to send an army to go after Look Shy. Look Shy was a group that settled here during the shogunate, the transition period between the first age and the current second age empire. And in Look Shy, it was basically a massive first age city filled with first age weaponry. When the realm's army showed up, Look Shy basically was fully equipped with artifact armor, weapons, and a Soulbreaker orb. They used the Soulbreaker orb to wipe out the entire realm army without losing like any soldiers. And since then, the realm has just kind of let Look Shy be because they don't know how many of those orbs they still have.
Orbs.
Giant bomb.
does lost egg mean? Wait a second, I just realized something. Zool wasn't given the translator yet.
I figured
Nope.
you could jump onto the ship and grab it
Oh, yeah.
before you stepped away.
RD would have gotten you one.
Probably conversation like, and I don't understand. We should probably get a translator. But now, since there's translator, it's perfect. Everything's fine now.
Lost egg is the general term for not being a part of the realm yet.
Ah.
For
You're a Dragonblood that's not part of one of the families.
Okay. No wonder why it's called Lost Egg. And you wanted to be a part of the family, so that way it gave benefits to the both of us. And so no one else could try to take me.
And give you legitimacy.
Legitimacy. How would that term be used in this case?
The difference between a Dragon King and a Dragonblood at this time means that if you are dragon-blooded with the house, you actually have some protections against being hunted. And you may even have a stipend from the house. If the war doesn't start.
I see.
Basically, as long as the Dragonblood doesn't screw up and embarrass the family or do something really bad for the family's interests, they get paid to basically fuck around and basically just not cause trouble.
Huh.
So that's why that dude's running the hunt.
Yeah, they're
No.
rich. They're rich kids, but he also wants it.
I wonder, is that going to come back and bite us in the butt? Probably not. It's probably fine.
It's more or less going to bite Nevis Sark if he actually finds out you're exalted. And he lets you slip through his fingers.
I mean, at this rate, it's only a matter of time, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And if not, well, we could just off them.
And Zool is an interesting concept for the Immaculate Faith.
I'm probably that interesting to everyone, being both dragon-blooded and Dragon King.
The Immaculate Faith states that exaltation can be a reward for excellency and leadership. It is not in itself deserving of respect from others. A dragon-blooded warrior must be judged by their own deeds rather than the blood in their veins or her soul's elevated position.
Fair enough.
Everyone travels the path of enlightenment at a different pace. Just as one cannot drag a mule to a stream to drink, so one cannot force one's belief upon others.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, but then, I mean, Nevis has been pretty good about forcing people to join him through diplomacy.
I hate to tell you this, but Nevis isn't a religion.
There is
Say that now.
You see, the proper words to use in this situation are not a religion yet.
Exactly.
The reply to that is heresy.
And then
miss.
Nevis goes.
Not enough ale.
Oh, thank you for the reroll. And then Nevis goes and absorbs the power of a primordial and becomes a primordial himself, but with all of his mortal aspects and tile. So he actually can think and change thoughts and stuff.
And then he gets stuffed into Malpheus for being a primordial.
No, he pulls them out of Malpheus before drawing their power in.
So this is why they call him the King of Conquerors.
And technically, if Zul would have said no to the joining of the dynasty, he would have been considered an outcast.
I mean, being an outcast isn't that bad.
Dragon-blooded outcast is more daggers in the back type thing.
Daggers in the back isn't that bad.
I prefer
and
not.
So says the assassin.
And to be fair, I mean, then he'd fit in with the rest of us.
What? All of you are outcasts?
I am still a Pelps. I am not an outcast.
I was an outcast then. Well, I was part of a group, but then they decided to put a knife in my back. It was a good try. Then other things decided that no, and now I'm here.
And yes, I'm flipping through my dragon-blooded book, What Fire Is Wrought.
Oh, Greco. I forgot to introduce my little familiar. I do believe he's down with my followers. But my familiar is a little wingdrake. I find him adorable.
Now I'm gonna have to look this up.
Oh no, what to do now?
I guess he's looking up a wing drake.
Will
Is
be.
his wing drake based off because he is? I'm guessing that Kerr is not accepting the wing drake being a living will of the unconquered sun, a mice of the sun.
Kerr, you are muted if you're
Can't-
trying to talk.
No.
Okay.
No.
You know why I was saying that? They used to
No.
be the solar exalt. I mean,
Mhm.
solar.
Mhm.
Was worth a try.
Nice try.
I have no clue what kind of things Guaco was trying to pull.
Yes. Zool,
It's
Guaco,
Guaco.
Guaco, I'm sorry.
you're able to make it there, and Zool, you can begin gathering your team. Your little familiar is waiting for you. They have woken up, and it doesn't take too long to gather everything and begin to make your way back.
Question.
Yes.
How many followers do I have? About
You
a
have
rough
like
F.
you have like a dozen.
Okay, a dozen. Okay, it's not that large.
No. You only have one dog.
Well, yeah, and then after they collect the team, they will begin walking back to the ship.
Let's jump over to Nevis.
Hello.
It doesn't take long to find Icewind. She's in her office currently working, making sure everything is going where it's supposed to be and dealing with any issues or trouble.
Never say yo as he walks into her office.
Icewind, I have come to bid you farewell. As he pushes both doors open at once and strodes through.
She looks up
Majestically.
and she looks up and just kind of stares at you for a second. Where are you going to be off to?
There are other... there are all the mercenaries that we are going to go track down and take care of. However, if you are under attack again, I will be leaving a crab here to relay the message to us.
She'll nod. We also have help from your friend. He volunteered to stay here and help rebuild things.
Yes, Cyril should be very good for for helping with your city and making sure that you are able to rebuild and potentially even upgrade.
She'll nod. I'd like to come with you, but right now my duty here needs to be done.
Oh, but of course, I fully understand. We would not want you to abandon your post. These people need you. However, I would ask that you potentially go and send regular patrols to check on these islands here. And he'll point on the map the other islands that Nevis has,
Made friends with.
freed and made friends with. Yes.
Hi, baby. She'll nod. I can do that. It shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Kerr got distracted momentarily by the other one he replaced me with.
I has
Yeah.
cat.
Yes,
I
you've replaced me with Cat. And now Zool as well.
do I need to pull out the stack of books and just dump them on you? Just knock some sense into you.
No, it's okay. I'll just be sitting here eating ice cream and crying. So
Dark
anyways.
walks over to Nevis and offers him a drink.
Sarg's not there.
Where did Nevis get the ice cream?
He's there in spirit.
Nevis isn't the one that's eating ice cream.
Yet.
So then again, I can't eat ice cream either because I don't have any, so I guess I'll just be crying.
Have a cookie.
I don't have any.
Oh god, Nevis is just there in like a little chibi form with big eyes, watering in a tub of ice cream. And like, they replaced me.
My boyfriend doesn't love me anymore. And of course, it's loud enough that the windows are rattling.
And with Zool, I'm presenting Zool with a glass and pouring some celestial wine out for this occasion.
Ooh, celestial wine.
That stuff is basically like almost impossible to get.
Kurt doesn't even have any comments on what I've been saying.
Yes, I did. I sighed.
Oh, it didn't come through.
Oh,
In the
yes.
arms of an angel.
In the arms of an angel.
And
I
ladies
will
and
sing
gentlemen,
thee to thy rest.
and ladies and gentlemen, the stream title should be named to Zim is crying because he's depressed for some strange reason.
Because he's been replaced by Zool!
I don't think Kerr would ever replace me for you.
Well, yeah, exactly. He would not replace you for me. What is likable about me? Besides, he's got his precious baby now.
If I had a violin, I'd be playing it.
Oh, right. I do have that sound effect.
Oh. He does have a sound effect for that. Give me.
No.
Give me. Okay, what else besides Nevis is going on?
Well, Nevis was pointing to the map and telling Icewind where to, the islands that he is allied with and stuff.
She'll nod. I can do that. It shouldn't be that big of a deal once we get our fleet together and figure it out with all the situations going on.
It is very important to me that you make sure they stay safe for me. Also, this island in particular does have an allied deity.
She'll nod slowly. That No offense, but for me, that's not necessarily a good thing.
They have seen my vision. They are friends. They may see you, but I will write you. I will write a missive for you, in case something were to, something untoward were to come up. Is there anything else that I may offer before we depart?
She'll seem to consider that for a moment. Nothing off the top of my head, no, but if I think of anything, I'll let the crab know.
Very well. Hopefully I shall see you again. But for now, good luck. And he shall pull both the handles on both parts of the door, swing them open, and stride through, exiting fashionably well.
Stage left.
In the most Nevis way possible.
All right, what are we doing next, Kerr? Come on, come on.
Um,
Hey, Nevis, give me an awareness roll for me, please.
Yes, I am already aware that you replaced me. I don't need to roll for it.
Ah.
no, 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 no. It's not for that kind of. I'm pretty sure it's for something else.
Oh, okay. What is it based on?
Sound.
Perfect. I double nines on awareness. And then I get a +1 from that. And keep in mind my all-encompassing sorcerer sight.
Yes.
The hell? Where did my good rolls go?
You used them.
You have a reroll.
True. Can I use the reroll, everyone?
Use it. What other rules are we gonna use this for? It's not like we're in combat.
There we go. And just keep going. Let's see here. Cancel, cancel. Eight.
I was thinking real quick exactly how I want to do this. Um. Nevis, as you are leaving the building, something tugs a little bit at your sight. You can see there's a little bit of disruption with the flow of essence in the city. It's not that big, but it usually means someone is channeling essence. And it is coming from the basically the slums, the part of the city that's basically been abandoned and where all of the destitute and hopeless people basically were thrown to.
Nevis is going to go and investigate.
Yes, with that roll, it is basically no problem to make your way through the city, making your way through these slums. These places are like, it's almost like a maze of very tightly packed buildings and dirty streets and stuff. There's very little in the way of green and such. Maybe a couple of trees every once in a while, but very little. And as you are getting closer and closer, Nevis, you can hear someone singing. And it is breathtakingly beautiful.
Come,
Like-
little children, I'll take thee away.
No, actually. The song I imagine playing in my head is Fear Not This Night.
Oh.
That's the song that my headcanon says is being sung right now.
Well, alright.
And as you go deeper and deeper, you soon come across a small area near one of the walls. You can see what looks to be like a little garden area. A couple of trees, grass, dirt, and lots of flowers. And you can see people crying and sobbing. And there is a body wrapped in white linen. And you can see the singer that you've been hearing that led you here. He's basically at the head of this group. And you can see the essence of his. His skin is pale white. His hair is basically the color of snow. He is dressed in white robes. They are cut so they kind of cling to his body without getting in his way. And you can see his essence, though. His essence is of death. It is steeped in death.
Nevis is going to approach and just kind of watch the proceeding. He can definitely understand the situation, so he's not going to interrupt it.
You can feel this with your essence sight on as well. You can see, not just hear, but see the essence that is infused in his voice. He is using a charm here with his music, and it is affecting all of these people who are hearing him. It is, from what you can see, This is a song of release to help people let go, to accept what has happened, and to not be burdened by it, to be able to grieve, to release, and to be able to move forward without being trapped within the basically despair of losing someone that you care about. It is meant to be a celebration of life and what has come before, and that they can still continue forward, bearing the wishes, dreams, and love of the ones they've lost. And you can just feel this within his voice being carried to all of these people.
And so it's not something malicious.
It's the exact opposite. This is meant to help
Okay.
the people move on. This is to help them accept the deaths that have happened and to let go of the people and not trap them as ghosts, but be able to accept their deaths and let them move forward to their next incarnation, as well as to let them grieve in the way that they need to grieve, to let out all of that emotion within them, so that it doesn't basically become an obsession that they can't move past.
Well, Nevis, first off, is going to actually turn off his Predator and Prey mirror. Because normally that is always going.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a way that he can add his own essence to this?
Not unless you knew the charm, no.
Okay. In that case, he will simply observe quietly until it is finished.
Yeah, you can see this is having a major effect on the people, but it seems to be, while extremely emotional and almost bitter in a way, you can see that as it's going forward, it's helping the people to slowly let go and to calm down and to basically kind of come to terms with it as it slowly comes to an end. And you can see and hear the people talking and telling stories about this person, about the things he did to help out, and all these good stories that they knew about him, about what he did for them, things that happened with them, embarrassing stories. You can even start to hear a little bit of laughter, and even a couple of people start smiling as this is going on.
He's just going to, like I said, just keep observing until the individual is finished.
I'm sorry, Zim, that you lost your solar buddy that you rescued.
I was more thinking that this is Kurt trying to let me know that we're over, and he has actually
No!
replaced me with, and I should just let the relationship move on.
No!
Wow, very depressing. Kerr, can I slap some sense into him?
No.
Okay, then you go slap some sense into him.
I will boop his nose.
Booping works.
And Nevis, as things begin to kind of calm down and some of the people begin to bury the body, this figure speaks a few words to a few of the still crying people, to some of the people who look like they're having trouble, and he just seems to just rest a hand on their shoulder, speak with them before moving on, before he begins to make his way over to you, Nevis, once he sees you.
That was very beautifully done.
He'll bow his head slightly to you. Thank you. These people did not have anyone, so I offered my services to them.
Where do you come from, and may I ask your name?
He will smile a little bit and bow his head to you, Nevis. I do not have a name anymore. I surrendered it when I took up my black exaltation.
Is what?
My black exaltation. That's a title that the abyssal exalted are called. They carry the
Ah.
black exaltation because death and such. You may call me the eulogist. It's the shortest description of my full title.
Sorry, call him what?
The eulogist. They do not have names, they have titles. They surrender their names when they become the Abyssal Exalted.
Okay. What brings you to this place?
The grief and the death, all of the lives that have ended here. Someone needed to help them, so I came.
There has been a very tragically large amount of death here and other places nearby. And unfortunately, I don't believe we are anywhere near done with it.
He nods his head. It is not something to be mourned. Death is a natural part of life. And though these stories ended early, perhaps not in a way that they would have wanted, they are still carried by those who knew them. And they must be allowed to rest, to move on to what comes next, to not be bound. Unlike many of my brethren, I dislike ghosts, those who cannot accept that their time has come and gone, that they need to move forward to the future, that the past remain the past, remembered but not coveted as some people do.
I very
Nevis,
firmly agree.
oh, Nevis, you would realize something now. And this is something that you probably actually wouldn't have realized beforehand. But this much death, all at once, this quickly, there is a very large risk either a Shadowland could have been created, or at least you would have a legion of hungry ghosts basically moving around and basically killing and slaughtering everything that they could get their hands on. But there has not been a single case of a hungry ghost attack, even after the slaughter and death that's been going on here.
I suppose you are the one I have to thank for the fact that the dead are able to rest here.
He nods. I have been working while the fighting was happened. I do not consider it to be my place to deal with the living. I dislike hurting anyone. I actually consider myself to be very much of a pacifist. But I am willing to use tough love when it comes to helping spirits move on. I do not consider that actual harm, as it's for their own good, as well as to prevent further harm from happening.
I too prefer to avoid needless bloodshed whenever I can. But while these people may not understand what you have done for them, allow me to offer my thanks for what you've done to help them.
He shakes his head slightly. Thanks are not necessary, though I do appreciate it, and I mean no insult by this. I simply do what needs to be done for those who have gone before. Someone needs to look out for them and those they leave behind and allow them a chance to let go and not be trapped by the past.
Blood for the blood god, blood for the blood god.
Blood for the blood lilies.
Perhaps I might invite you to accompany us, at least for a time. The journey that I am embarking on is one that, while it pains me, it is a fact that there will be blood in the future for many people. There will be death. But
He nods his
ensuring
head
that those
slightly.
But unfortunately, that is the cost when you are putting down folks that would sooner see people die than live happily.
I know of the foes that you seek to face. And though it pains me to admit it, I do believe that there is little that could be done to dissuade either force from their current path of destruction. I do not revel in death, but I do accept that it sometimes needs to happen, that it is a natural part of life. If you wish, I am willing to travel with you, at least for now. Someone must attend to the dead and ensure that those who are grieving have the ability to grieve.
I would be honored for you to accompany us and help those that I seek to rescue. And I will always ensure that the fewest number of people are killed as possible.
Not slightly.
Speaking of, I
That-
do have quite a few captives I need to break through to.
Perhaps if you wish, I can speak with them.
By all means, I would welcome the assistance. There are some that are particularly resilient due to the workings of another Exalted.
He simply smiles. leave them to me. I promise you I will help them.
That would be appreciated. I wish to give them the choice rather than force them to come with us simply because they cannot be trusted to be left behind.
He'll nod. Is there anything else that you need? Is there any other questions you may have for me as well, as we've just met? I know who you are.
Someone that would do what I have seen you do tonight, this day, is one that I believe is trustworthy. The effort you showed would not be possible in the way that I have watched by someone simply seeking to ingratiate themselves. There was heart and care in your performance and in your efforts to help these people.
Death comes to all things, but it does not need to be painful or ugly. It can be beautiful and gentle. And these people need peace. They need to accept that death will come, no matter what they say or do, and to move forward and to live what remains of their lives for as long as they can before their time comes and they move on. Death is not something to be feared. It is simply a change. When one dies, the soul leaves the body and goes to a new vessel to be reborn, to live a new life, to continue living somewhere else. This incarnation, this life has ended, yes, but the one that they love still moves forward to live again as someone else. Perhaps even a better life than what they had. It is not something to be sad. It is something to be celebrated. That they have lived at all. Their life as they lived should be celebrated and remembered. The death should not be sad.
There is always a lesson in things. There are grievances to potentially be held. An injustice like what has happened here to these people, I do not believe that that should be let go. But the person themselves, yes, they should be allowed to move on.
He watches the people for a moment and seems to consider that. Everyone has a story. Everyone has problems, has issues. No one can know for sure what someone has lived through and experienced. Perhaps even the darkest soul can be helped. Death is final. Death is something that no one can take back. Thus, I consider it to not usually be my place to deliver it, except in the most dire of circumstances.
He's basically preaching to the choir here.
I know.
And the choir responds with an amen.
Amen. In Zul we trust.
Yeah, he's even more of a pacifist than Nevis is, though. He doesn't want to hurt people at all.
Oh, Nevis is not a pacifist.
I know, but Nevis is willing to like go, okay, I'm willing to ask you to surrender before I try to kill you. He just not even going to try to kill anyone or even fight if he can avoid it. Note, you don't want to see him ever break his vow of pacifism. You don't want to see what happens.
People die.
There will be blood. And Kerr has got out. Okay.
No, sorry. No. Higher than people will die.
Yeah, like the god that resides over his vow for not killing, you know? That god will die. Well, we are preparing to set off. I shall leave you to finish your work here, and I will be awaiting you aboard our ship.
He will nod. Once I finish with taking care of everyone, I will join you at your ship.
I look forward to your company. And Nevis will head off back to the ship, grabbing any of his soldiers along the way he may see.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a speech to do.
All right, you can do your speech. Real quick though, Sark, where are you up to again?
I was gathering the soldiers.
Okay, yep, you've gathered up all the soldiers. It wouldn't be that hard to do.
And I've done with them what Nevis, I guess, asked.
Okay.
I just imagine Sark running around the city, barking at all of the soldiers.
I might take a
They-
drink
they
with one of
start
them if they're in the
wandering.
bar.
They start wandering the wrong way, and Sark runs to the other side and barks and herds them back towards the ship.
Now he's a sheepdog? Okay.
I don't think
I-
Sark is appreciative of that.
Sark just sits there, just rubbing the blade.
Just sitting there waiting for Nevis. And Nevis comes by, pats his head. Good boy. And then walks past, leaving a wagging Sark behind.
I refuse to let the tail wag.
Sark does not approve of this. His tail does not wag.
Okay, now for actual stuff we're doing in character. I assume Guaco and Zul would be back at the ship as well now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Nevis is going to have all of the captives gathered up. I kind of assumed they were being kept on the ship.
Yes.
And he will include any of the nobles that were not killed. Or former nobles that were not killed or otherwise had their titles revoked.
Yes.
I understand that many of you were forced into service. Some of you were taken from your homes and turned into beast folk like myself. I am one that is not opposed at all to mercy. However, you are to be given a choice. You will each need to swear an oath to me. One that I shall know that you break if you do. It is an oath not to harm any of these people, or mine, those that I offer my protection to. You will be able to remain here, work the land, perhaps even attend to shops at some point, or whatever endeavors you may choose to pursue. And for those of you that are still human, you are also welcome to these options. The other choice is to come with me and join my army. You will be trained. I cannot promise eternal life or anything like that, but I can promise glory. We have a very long journey ahead of us, but I would look forward and be honored to have you at my side. I will say, if you refuse to make the oath, we will have to put you to the death. I cannot allow any of you to cause harm to those under my protection. Make your choices as individuals, and live with these choices for as long as you may. That was not my
I
best
think-
speech, but...
No, you're good. But I think with that, I'm going to end it here on the cliffhanger of what they're going to say.
Okay.
Bitch! We still got another half hour!
Fight,
Yes,
fight.
And my stomach is really acting up and hurting.
Okay, fair enough. You need to eat better.
I am trying.
Zim, be more verbal about it in person, not over a voice call.
I would happily do so if you lived here. Chicken nuggies and fries are not part of a healthy diet.
I worship the ultra chicky nug.
Can I have my McNuggets, please?
My nuggies. They are my nuggies.
Also, let's go to Wendy's and get McNuggets.
So which way are we going to be heading next time?
After the mercenaries.
Also, you'll need to like change this video title because we are not going to the next island at all.
I expected us to actually make our way to the next island.
Yes, and yet we didn't. You dragged it out too much.
I do not think that was on me.
Zim, you're the one who also said roleplay more. And we roleplayed more. Also, there was like at least a total of 5 to 10 minutes of just absolute silence throughout the entire session.
That's normally how this goes.
Panth, I will say there are diets where you're only supposed to eat for... There's an 8-hour segment that you're supposed to eat, that you can eat during. And outside of that 8 hours, you are not supposed to eat. And that is a diet plan. So, you know, maybe not push people to eat in the last 4 hours just in case they are doing something like that. But anyways, Zool.
Zoomies.
Yes, Nevis.
What is something you liked and something you felt could be improved?
I liked how chill this group was. It's different from having an Arum who is, very excitable. Everyone here is chill. Not saying anything about bad about Arum, but it's quiet. There were 5 minutes of silence. The thing I
Well,
didn't like, there were 5 minutes of silence
I was
throughout
gonna
the entire
say.
session.
We do. I would like to see more activity, more engagement. Maybe we should try and find another player, recruit them for Dragon's game.
Oh,
Seda.
Lord. I would have spoken.
Hold
Tried
the
to.
line. This
Never mind,
hamlet
you do the
shall
right.
not fall.
There's excitement.
Actor Howl has raided my stream with 3 viewers.
Octa Howls, hello and welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for that raid. Welcome on in, everybody. We are just wrapping up our Ebon Sales Exalted session for this evening. We will be switching over to doing some other things here shortly. But thank you so much for that raid. How was your stream? What were you up to? And could I get a shout out and such for Actor Howls, please?
Oh, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a fun game. Oh, Banker Lady stole my geos. Oh. Oh yeah, Banker Lady is bad.
Don't trust banks. Got it.
Okay, that was also a shady bank. That one's surrounded by bubbles.
What
Away
is
from
wrong
the
with
town.
bubbles? How are bubbles shady?
Imagine living alone in an infested wasteland, surrounded by bubbles, saying, I want to run a bank here and live alone. Go back to Dirtmouth.
Well, okay then.
Well, I'm
Anyways,
guessing Zool is the new Empress.
I'm sorry, what? What? What?
Empress Zool!
I'm not Empress, I'm not female, thank you very much.
Oh, are you gender rolling the title?
Isn't that how it's supposed to be?
What, you can't decide that you're Empress?
Not Emperor Zul's.
No, you see, Empress rolls very nicely into Zool.
Demon God, you don't
Fast
want
with
the
tail.
title.
I mean, Lyndon, I'd welcome you in this group, though I don't think you'd be able to obtain the title of Empress. Unfortunately, I believe you are busy, though.
Yes, Lyndon is busy, as they have said before.
Sark! Sark! Kurama!
Sorry, work's been yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. So,
Something I
the
liked.
question for you. Who's a good boy?
I duct tape my tail to my leg, so good luck.
Okay, that's just funny.
I can still see it wiggling, though.
Doesn't count.
Sure it does.
Nope.
So,
something
something you like, something you feel could be improved. Kurama.
my tired brain is trying to think.
You knew this was coming.
I liked how the ship. Yeah. I liked
What?
them making progress. I guess I would have. I guess like more stuff to happen. Like not a lot really like happened. Like we didn't really do a whole lot.
This was a breather episode for basically setting up for where you guys are going next and what you're going to be dealing with.
That makes sense, and I do agree with Zim that another player might make things a little bit more interesting. I am kind of excited though to see where the whole like I totally forgot
Zool!
being a researcher and the fact that Sark's basically trying to build the Necrons. Kind of interested to see where that goes.
I'm sure everything will be fine.
Okay. Toshime!
I like the introduction of Zool
Zool.
and throwing out the background information that'll get things started for that.
And something to improve.
Getting us going to the new island.
And last but not least, Co!
I really enjoyed how everyone was doing together. I enjoyed the role playing. I enjoyed all of the characters. I had fun watching you guys basically do your thing. Once again, kind of like the werewolf. I did not expect you guys to take this long here in the port doing things. Now that I'm against it, I enjoyed it a lot. But I really expected us to be moving on to the next plot line and such, and we didn't. But I don't really mind because role playing, and I love seeing what happened with the characters and stuff. And you guys getting to meet like an actual Death Knight that isn't fucking evil. Rare, but they do exist.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Well,
Zim, Did you
everyone.
explain what you
Sure.
liked and didn't like?
Well, I did say something that I felt could be improved. Specifically, not something I didn't like. You
What
know,
did you like?
constructive criticism. I liked the scene with the Death Knight quite a lot. And I hope you guys didn't mind me actually playing the song during that scene.
I didn't want to say that because I didn't know about the copyright and such. So
Oh no, it's fine. It's from Guild Wars, so I mean technically they still own the copyright, but we can use their music and stuff. So,
okay,
or at least it won't get copyright flagged. But I hope you guys appreciated the little touch there.
I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Actor Hals, thanks so much for that raid again. I hope you have a good night if you're headed out. I am still going tonight. I'm just switching over to something else. But let's go ahead and wrap up this stream. Thank you everybody for joining us today for Ebon Sales Exalted. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Patreon, and more. There on the website, as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, donators, and subscribers. It is because of your support that I'm able to continue bringing these streams to you all. I seriously cannot do this without your guys' help and support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by simply sharing the stream around. But for now, thank you all so much for joining. Do make sure you go check out my friends that played in this group that also stream. We have Arzadeyu and Kurama X in Eve. For those watching on YouTube, you will find links to them down in the description below. But for now, thank you all so much, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.
Duke.
Rawr.
Bye.
That
Bye.
was adorable. Sark,
Of course
you
I
want
would
to say bye?
Awoo.
Ow.
There's a good boy.
Sark, here's the spray bottle if you ever need it. Make sure to turn up to volume 11. It hits really hard.